Welcome to a Harsh Reality broadcast on the 29th of January 2015. The title of this presentation is called What is Truth? Imagine if we turn the clock back about 100 years when the First World War had just started. Would we feel more patriotic to our country? My guess is that we would. And that's because we were fed information from a biased source. Would we be more religious? My guess is that we would be. And that's because we had little access to alternative views to the world. Would we be more trusting to the elite? My guess is that we would be. And that's because we did not have access to their personal life. We all perceive the world differently. If you come from the West, when you look at this illustration, you will note there appears to be a window above this person's head. However, there also appears to be a corner of the room. If you're not from the West, you may see above this person's head a box balancing on the head, and over here you may see a tree in the background. These people will appear to be outside. So depending on your culture will be dependent on how you perceive this picture. This caption illustrates how powerful cultural influences are. The lady on the left is thinking, everything covered but her eyes, what a cruel male-dominated culture. The lady on the right is thinking, nothing covered but her eyes, what a cruel male-dominated culture. So you see, where we come from has a very, very strong influence on our outlook. Governments and the media work very well hand in hand. Until recently, they had a major grip on our outlook. They could shape our outlook on events. In this caption it says, "You write what you're told." Thanks, corporate news. We couldn't control the people without you. The internet is brilliant. Why? Simply put, it gives us an alternative viewpoint. The alternative media has its own faults. It also has its biases, but it gives us the opportunity to compare and contrast. It loosens the grip on religion as people are being given the opportunity to become critical thinkers. What have I learnt as I've gone through the journey of life? Well, I've learnt that politicians sometimes lie. The mainstream media sometimes misinforms us. Some priests are paedophiles. The banking corporations sometimes act corruptly. Lawyers will sometimes tell the truth. As we mature as a society and become more enlightened, we tend to become more skeptical. Unfortunately, though, it can make us paranoid if we're not careful. Now, this is the problem. As we become more enlightened and we see what really goes on, it can make us paranoid. And I've got to be very careful I don't fall into the trap, because there's a lot of, for example, conspiracy theories about. Now, I don't always subscribe to them. I think sometimes we can go over the top and worry too much. So I really, really try very hard to get a balanced view on things. But I can assure you it's very difficult to do so. I just thought I'd inject a little bit of humour with this slide. Just let you have a look at it for a moment. Okay, so what have I learnt over the years? Firstly, think for yourself. And that will actually take a lot of self-discipline, because no matter what you read and no matter who you mix with, there are biases. I have biases. I tend to gravitate around people who share my views, and that is known as confirmation bias. However, as a reflector, I think long and hard to try and get a more balanced viewpoint. I'm not saying it's easy, but I will listen to other people, and on occasions they actually can change my views, but that is rare. Okay, let's have a look at religion. This is always a very contentious subject, and I never wish to offend people, but then again I will put forward my viewpoints. Now then, people who follow my channel will be aware that I am not religious and cannot go through life with blind faith. I prefer scientific explanations. I am pleased to note that as we mature as a society, fewer people tend to be religious. I am far more at ease with rational thinking people. In our relative recent history, there has been untold atrocities in the name of Christianity. Galileo lived at a crucial crossroads in the history of science, when different strands of thought met and clashed. These were natural philosophy based on Aristotle's incorrect ideas, the beliefs of the Catholic Church at the time, evidence-based scientific research. In the end, the ideas of Galileo and other scientists triumphed because they were able to prove them to be true. Although his ideas triumphed, Galileo paid a high price for his science. He spent the last 8 years of his life under house arrest, and the Catholic Church banned the publication of anything written by him. Now, Galileo proved that the Earth revolved round the Sun, and that the Earth was not the centre of the solar system or the universe. Now, at the time, the Catholic Church couldn't accept that. Doesn't it just show, though, the arrogance of the Catholic Church, thinking that the Earth was the centre of the universe? I would like to read a passage from the Quran, and it says this: "Those who annoy Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and in the hereafter, and has prepared for them a humiliating punishment. Truly, if the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is a disease, and those who stir up sedition in the city desist not, we shall certainly stir thee up against them. Then will they not be able to stay in it as thy neighbours for any length of time. They shall have a curse on them. Whenever they are found, they shall be seized and slain without mercy." Absolutely charming, isn't it, to hear a passage like that? What a dreadful teaching, in my opinion. Some quotes from the Bible are also vile, and I'd like to start with this first one, Leviticus. "If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbour, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. If a man lies with a man as one lies with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. Slaves, submit yourselves to your masters with all respect, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed." In conclusion, we are a product of our upbringing, and the belief systems that we were brought up with are truly ingrained within us. Within the West, we now have the opportunity to compare and contrast, and I think we're becoming more tolerant. With regards to the East, I think there is a little bit of catching up to do, but hopefully they will get the tolerance that is shared in the West. I've learnt that no matter how long you can have a discussion with somebody else, if they have a set of beliefs, they are extremely hard to shift. I think if you're brought up with them up until the age of 7, that's it. Your brain is hardwired for that belief system. Thank you very much for listening to the video. My next one will be back to financial matters.